let's talk about Poor Things, the latest work from the master of the peculiar, Yorgos Lanthimos. I was at an advanced UK screening of the movie last night, and now I want to share my honest review, which will contain spoilers throughout. Please check the links below to the Horror Exchange for more content and clothing, but for now, here's what I think of this one. First things first, big fan of Lanthimos. His films certainly are of an acquired taste, but that's what makes his catalogue so intriguing to me. Creations like The Lobster, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and The Favourite appear like they take place in the world we do, but the rules of those worlds make them feel incredibly alien. There's an unnatural way people speak, fantasy elements to the mechanisms, and absurdist logic. Quite simply, they're bonkers. So Poor Things was a nice way for Lanthimos to carry his speciality mood into a world that doesn't resemble ours. It's a mad story with a mad world for it to take place in, i.e. the perfect playing field for the flavour of director he is. From start to finish, this adaptation of Alistair Gray's 1992 novel is a wild ride that pumps the senses full of obscurities. The second it kicks in, you can just sense the off-kilter world you're stepping into, and Lanthimos makes this your home for nearly 2.5 hours. I found myself engrossed in this place. Despite taking place on Earth in London, Lisbon, Alexandria, and Paris, none of those places look the right fit. There are period piece elements and futuristic elements blending together to create a unique time and place. Every department was on fire here to bring this visionary landscape to life, from the fabulous costume department to the tiny details of the set designers. It's a living, breathing, semi-industrial organism, a steampunk Frankenstein world seen in both colour and black and white, and that world complements our protagonist perfectly. Introducing Bella Baxter, played by Emma Stone, who's just picked up a Golden Globe for her efforts, and in my opinion, rightly so. Despite being such a well-known, accomplished actress, I love that Stone still dives into these more experimental projects and gives it her all, with Bella being perhaps her most complex character to date. This is down to the important element of exactly who she is. A woman named Victoria killed herself by jumping off a bridge, seen in the opening shot. Her body is recovered by a disfigured surgeon named Godwin Baxter, who finds that inside Victoria is a still living unborn baby. His decision is to take the baby's brain and put it into the mother's body, and this is the foundation for a wonderful tale of development and discovery. Stone's ability to act like a variety of ages all within the same adult body was captivating to me. The way she goes from acting like a newborn to a toddler to a child to a stroppy teenager to a self-educated adult is one hell of a journey. Not only does it display her range, but it challenges her to act in ways she may have never realised she'd go to. That goes all the way down to her body language, with the way she walks and carries herself evolving as time goes on and her brain develops. This is also linked to the film's visuals, with Bella's less developed state taking place in a black and white world before transitioning to colour as her brain ages. For around the first 4 months of a newborn's life, they see in black and white until their eyes have developed to see colour. So the choice for the shifting colour palette in the film went hand in hand with Bella's development. Yet beyond that, Lanthimos commands both palettes with such grace, testing his own vision by juggling the two approaches and creating brilliance from both angles. When it comes to the overall angle of the film, it's a rather simple one. Bella just wants to go out into the world and find stuff, learn things, and see what's going on, rather than being limited to the confines of her creating father God's house. And this is done through her attachments to other characters who she gets swept up by and caught up in their journeys as well, learning their perspectives and adapting accordingly. There's the sweet and naive scientist Max McCandles, played well by Ramy Youssef, who Bella learns a sense of innocent romance from. Then there's Duncan Wedderburn, played by Mark Ruffalo, in a performance where he clearly loved the look of the scenery and fancied a good old chew. In a positive way, having previously winced at Ruffalo's attempt at the King's English in All the Light We Cannot See, which made me wonder if Dick Van Dyke was his vocal coach, I was again worried knowing that was going to pop up again here. Yet honestly, the film around him is so twisted and weird anyway that his sometimes forceful and jagged accent just kind of fit, and the largeness of his performance too just worked in this environment to offset Bella. It wound up coming full circle in a way where I thoroughly appreciated the craft of his persona, rather Freddie Mercury in parts, with just a smidgen of Omar Sharif. Duncan's bond with Bella comes through him being enormously sexually charged, and boy does this film push that needle. There's an awful lot of banging, but awful might not be the correct word. My lord, does this thing just go for it and doesn't stop. Lanthimos usually approaches sex with line-crossing lenses, exploring taboos and fetishes with an unfiltered honesty, and that is certainly the case here. And it makes Bella become an incredibly sexualized being who understands pleasure can make her happy, and that it can also bring her money when she stumbles into prostitution and uses it as an experiment. Every person Bella meets alters her, adds something to her. The pure romance of McCandles, the raging passion of Duncan. Then on the ship she meets two passengers, Harry being a cynic who opens her eyes to the wrong of the world, the other, Martha, being an educated woman who puts philosophy in Bella's hands. Then there's the head of the whole house, Madame Swiney, who teaches her women can use their bodies to become self-fulfilling businesses. One of the other women there, Toinette, introduces her to politics, and when Bella meets the husband of her body's former occupier, Bella's technical father, General Alfie, she learns bitterness and sees evil in him. It's as though the titular poor things are all of the characters in this film, all having pros and cons, demons they face with some shades of wholesomeness too, in varying degrees. It's said in the film along the lines of seeing the good and bad makes you a stronger person. Going through a variety of emotions and experiences can reinforce you, and that is Bella down to a T. She goes from a tiny child in a grown woman's body, barely able to speak, smashing crockery and seeing in black and white, to a fully formed lady educated by the world who can speak eloquently with a huge lexicon, often stringing synonyms together like nobody's business. It's such an enchanting feast, this film, for the eyes and the mind. It makes you reconsider very normal parts of being human in remarkably different lights when spoken through the mind of a child. Somehow it's capable of making you go, oh yeah, actually when you put it like that, it does sound weird, about a full list of common thoughts and activities. It not only takes place in a distorted world, it reaches out and grabs you and distorts your world too, shifting your perception just like Bella's shifts. And to complement that distortion, Lanthimos once again harnesses some of his key hallmarks with interesting zoom choices, keyhole shots and fisheye lenses to fit more into the camera like a panoramic, but bend it into a circular frame. Hats off to Robbie Ryan on the cinematography here, who worked on The Favourite with Lanthimos also. There are some nice crossovers with The Favourite actually, from the visuals to Emma Stone to the emphasis on sex to yet another insane dance sequence. I feel like Poor Things is gonna become a real cult classic and snag a couple Oscars. The actual skeleton of the story entwines Mary Shelley with Charles Dickens, but the flesh on that skeleton is what carries the blood through this body of work. Superbly acted in multiple tastes, stunning design work, and expertly put together. This was a joy to watch, and that is my honest review of it. Share yours below. I've been Connor from Unleash the Ghouls, and cheers out.